All right, so I want to go ahead and just start this a little bit. Going to wait until there are more people that are going to show up. So hopefully we'll have them show up soon. Basically, what's going to happen is I'll cover a couple things here over the next couple minutes regarding gym intimidation, also known as gymtimidation. Um, that's something that I sort of saw through personal experience as a need to be addressed. A lot of people have come to me in the past, continue to come to me, sort of asking whether or not I can help them. And so when I try to answer their questions, it tends to come down to really three things. They're either intimidated by equipment and the proper use of said equipment. They are intimidated by exercises and how to do them properly because they don't want to hurt themselves. They're intimidated by injury, which is understandable. And then also they are intimidated by me or people like me. They are intimidated. Wow, I can't say that word. Intimidated by individuals like me in the sense of meatheads, if you will. People who have been in the gym for some time. They are intermediate to advanced when it comes to training, and they feel like they don't belong in the same gym as these more advanced lifters. So I do want to talk to as many people as possible. I want to answer questions live. That'd be great. So we'll see if and when people will show up there, but do want to at least address these questions and try to get as much information out there as possible so as many people can be helped as possible as well. So we will wait for a little bit longer. If and when people show up in the Google Hangout, then I will have to mute them. I'll mute you guys, and that way the camera isn't popping back and forth between me and them. But looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this for about a week. Since I had first created it, I thought it was a unique opportunity, and again, I'm all about trying to help as many people as possible if I can. So, with that said, it's one of those things where I feel like I've been in a unique position where I'm a little bit more approachable than a lot of people. I try to be. I'm just another person. So because of that, I think that's why people have asked me a lot of these questions regarding how to get into the gym, how to make changes in their lifestyle. And because of that, I feel like I sort of have a little bit of a responsibility to try to make this a little bit larger and talk to more people. So again, we'll give it a couple more minutes just to let people show up before I get into everything. This is being streamed on YouTube as well, so hopefully people will be able to tune in that way as well. But then also it's it will be posted up on YouTube after the fact, and people will be able to watch this. So we shall see how many views we get on this thing and see how many people we get to help. So any question is a good question. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. And if I don't have that answer, then I will try to make sure not only will I find out the answer, but I'll try to double back and make sure that everybody is able to have access to that answer once I find it as well. So working on that. Again, just a heads up to everybody, we're waiting on some people to show up into the Google Hangouts. I will also, once the YouTube video gets posted up onto my YouTube channel, I will make sure to put in the comments at what time we get into things, so you're not just sitting there waiting for everything to start. So. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So basically, the reason for this is, again, as I stated earlier, there's a lot of people that have contacted me over the months and really years who have basically wanted to know more about my background. I have been lifting since about 2009 timeframe, late 2009. So going on about 7 years ish, roughly. And it's something that I didn't know a lot about at the very beginning. I felt like I was spinning my wheels for a long time, and really I was lifting to just sort of deal with life. Actually, I had a lot of things that were going on in my life right at that time. I was in the military. I had some personal things going on. I had recently been divorced, and it was a way for me. It was an outlet, and I was able to sort of process feelings and my mentality Over that time frame from the time that I had been divorced, I got divorced early in '09. So from that time early on up until later in the year when I started lifting, I had found that I was a very cynical person. I had a very negative outlook on life at that point in time. Even though I was in the military and absolutely loved it, I had a great experience. But with my personal life, it was just something that affected me as a whole. And um, I at one point in time, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily know a particular moment when you have it, but you have your eureka moment or your aha moment when you realize that either A, you need to change something, or B, you have changed your mindset and you have changed something. So it's somebody may say, and this is something that I got from Tony Robbins. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. You may say that you took 10 years to have a revelation or to make a change. It actually happened in an instant, and most of the time we just don't know that it happened when it happened. So with that said, I had gotten to that point. I had my aha moment, and I made a conscious decision that I was going to live a positive life. And no matter what was going on, I was going to be positive about it. So with that, I knew that I had to do something. I had to change the way I was living. I had to change the way I was handling things, the way I was thinking about things. And to do that, I went into the gym. And again, as I said, I didn't have a lot of education on it. I had to do a lot of my own research. I didn't have a lot of mentors at the time that really sort of pointed me in the right direction. It was all self-guided research at that time. So I did that work, and the problem with the internet is that it doesn't matter who's saying what, everybody feels that they're an expert, and unless you have the letters behind your name to annotate your education level and your experience level, a lot of people can get pointed in a wrong direction. So with that said, it was a long time before I felt like I actually made some real progress. And for a lot of people, that can be a very difficult thing to go through. That can be very disheartening to feel like you're putting in the work and you're not seeing the results that you want to. But it's all about self-determination, self-will. And again, I wasn't really necessarily trying to get big or put on a lot of muscle. It was more of a method of coping. It was my coping mechanism. So it was about getting in there and getting that endorphin release, feeling good, feeling better about myself, about life. And so it served that purpose at that time. So fast forward a little bit, I get out of the military, I come back home to Florida, and at that time I did not have much going on. I mean, I had planned on going back into school, but I ended up not going right back into college. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and I didn't have much of a schedule. So I was going to the gym, and I went to the gym a lot. I was there 6 to 8 times a week. So to give you an idea of how often I was there, and I would spend a lot of time there. I would train for anywhere from 2 to sometimes 3 hours. And it was good in the sense that I got a lot of training in, but just because I was doing that activity doesn't mean that I was doing it properly. That didn't mean that I was supporting it with the right sleep schedule. That doesn't mean I was supporting it with the right nutrition. And all of those things affected my ability to recover, make gains, make progress. I actually bulked up to the point where at that time I was at my heaviest at about 180 pounds. And I had never been 180 pounds before. I'm 5'6", never been 180 pounds. And I didn't look like I really wanted to. So I was doughy. That's a word that I like to use if you're talking about a certain weight distribution. I was doughy. Then I was doughier than I wanted to be, and so at that juncture, it was more about just getting in and giving myself something to do and trying to lift heavy weights. And I, through my research, had found a program called Power Bodybuilding that was put together by Mike O'Hearn. I found it on bodybuilding.com, and I absolutely loved it. It was fun. I was able to do the program, and then again, since I didn't have anywhere to be, I'd throw in stuff at the end and spend a lot of time in the gym doing extra stuff as well. So that happens. I'm doing the power bodybuilding. I learn a little bit more, but I didn't, as I said, have the nutrition or sleep schedule or water intake to support that level activity. So I didn't look like I was somebody who put in that much work. Again, fast forward a couple years, and my buddy who got me into bodybuilding, he was the one that started it all. I blame him for everything. Shane Gilbertson, Little Giant. He's a great guy here locally in the Pinellas Park area, and he pointed me in the right direction when it came to nutrition. And so that's where I actually started to find the majority of my gains was nutrition. So a lot of people, again, they're coming to me with the intimidation factor with the gym. And I understand that, but this is not a one-sided thing. You are going to make a lot of progress with the gym, but people need to understand that your nutrition is going to help you do this. Again, not everybody can go to the gym as often as I was going to the gym and continue that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis without seeing the gains and the improvements that they want to see. So first off, make sure that you're keeping a whole-minded, a well-rounded thought process on what your expectations are when you're trying to get into the gym, or more importantly, make a change in your life. So Shane got me in tune with more of the nutrition, and because of that, I had actually found that I was not eating enough food. I was looking doughy. I was the heaviest I had ever been, and I wasn't eating enough. And had I been eating a whole lot more that entire time, I probably would have been in a lot better shape. I would have had more of a physique, and it would have been, I would have just seen more results. So I started working out with Shane, started training with him, started doing the nutrition, and found out more about that. I actually ended up moving in with him, and we were roommates for a while. I moved in with him right before he was doing a show, about 3 months out from a show. So he was actually starting a prep right at that time. And that's where things started to click. And that's actually how I got into bodybuilding, because even at that time, I wasn't necessarily sure that's something that I wanted to do. Once I saw him actually compete, I went there, I supported him. And once I saw that, that was a huge revelation for me. I was able to get this sort of feeling where I could do something competitive again. I hadn't been playing soccer or baseball like I had throughout my entire life up to that point. Mainly, I had to give those up at that time because of injury. I had injured my ankle very badly, and because of that, I wasn't able to play those sports that I love so much. So I ended up deciding that I wanted to do a show, and I did my first show in September of 2013, just a couple months after I had supported Shane at that show. So that's where it got into the competition side of things. I don't want to get too deep into competition talk in this conversation, just because this is a little bit more for John Q. Public and Jane Q. Public. Not necessarily trying to convert anybody or anything along those lines. This is more about trying to help people out, make those initial changes in their life. So I had already, as an athlete, been used to going to some sort of training. And a lot of people that I've noticed, when they come to me, they have not been very active up until this point. And these are 20-year-olds, these are 40 plus year olds. So the entire age spectrum has asked me questions about this, about getting into the gym. But in general, they're not used to a higher level of activity in that sense. They weren't athletes as kids or through high school. And so they're starting from square one. And that's my first point that I want to make. And that's a very important point, is that even as somebody who has been an athlete for the majority of my life, and with everybody else, and this is where I'm talking about, number one is the intimidation of meatheads or people in the gym who are advanced lifters. Everybody started in the same spot. So there was a time when we weren't in the gym all the time. There was a time where we might have been doing things, but we just didn't have the education to back it up and really get the most out of it. So as time goes on, you learn more. You can't expect to be an expert right away. And so I need everybody to understand we all start in the same spot. Okay? Because of that, do not feel intimidated. Please don't allow your preconceived notions of somebody be, well, they obviously, I mean, they look amazing. They're doing this type of exercise that's very advanced. I have no place being in the same place as they are. That's not true at all. You have every bit of a right to be in a gym as anybody else. You could be Dennis Wolf, Phil Heath, Kai Green, these top-level bodybuilders who are genetic freaks. They have been doing this for years, and they have put in the time and the money and the sweat equity, if you will, to get to that point. But again, they started as a beginner. So you getting into the gym, they did the same thing. We are all in this together. We have all been there. So don't be afraid not only to be in the same spot, to be next to them at the free weights, curling, doing bicep curls, or at the squat rack, putting up weight, but also ask them. I can guarantee you that the majority of the people in the gym training, regardless of their level of experience, even the most experienced should have no problem with taking a second and talking to you. If you ask a question, I mean, if it's just oh man, how much do you bench? Then that's kind of, that's not really asking a question, if that makes sense. You are taking time away from them in that sense, because you're not asking a productive question. If you're asking, hey, I saw you are benching. One thing that I'm not very confident with is my bench, either for form or how often should I do it? Are there certain things that I can do differently to help with that? If you're asking some specific questions to try to make yourself better, then 9 times out of 10, they will be more than willing to share some of their knowledge. So don't be intimidated by the way somebody looks. Don't be intimidated by certain things that they're doing. Go ahead, ask questions. If you see something, ask them why they're doing it, what it's for. You don't know until you ask. And again, going back to the internet thing, doing your own research, you may not have found whatever it is they're doing. I just posted, or I'm about to post on my Instagram after I get off of here, about blood flow restriction training. That's a fairly advanced technique that not everybody knows about. And in my post, I will explain what blood flow restriction is, how to properly do it. It's a video, so you will see me doing it. And so hopefully I'll be able to educate people about how to do that. Certain things like that. If you see somebody doing that, ask a question. It's okay. Now, you actually cover a lot of things when you do that. You increase your social circle. You may end up talking to that person for a little bit, and then you have a workout buddy now because you're working out with them on a regular basis. You say, okay, when are you here? I'd like to be here when you're here. And then you guys or girls can put something together, and you have increased your social circle. You have now become more comfortable with that setting. And so comfort level has a lot to do with self-confidence. So the more comfortable you are, chances are you're going to be able to bring out the best in you in that environment. And one of the things that helped me is in my job, I was put in a very, very difficult position for me. In the military, I had to give briefings. I had to stand up in front of a large group of people, large group of very high-ranking people within my unit and organization, and I had to talk. I had terrible stage fright, terrible. And the only way I got over it was to continue to do it. And as prepared as I ever was, I still had a little bit of nerves. But as my comfort level increased, so did the quality of everything that I did. And that actually started to bleed over into other parts of my life. So as I became a little bit more advanced when it was my lifting, I became more extroverted. I'm actually an introvert by nature, but I became more extroverted just because I became more comfortable. And as I became more comfortable, I became more confident. As I became more confident, then I started to see other parts in my life that had maybe been struggling that ended up becoming strong suits for me. So I actually, through lifting, through practice, gained more self-confidence. And that was one thing that has stuck with me all these years was I was able to discover that I had a lot more potential than I thought I did. So sort of one of my goals in life is to try to help people realize their potential. I want people to be able to say, you know what? This is not something I'm comfortable with, but I'm going to try. And if I try and I succeed, that means that I have become a more well-rounded individual. And if I'm a more well-rounded individual, I can have a more productive life, a happier life. I can have more experiences. Self-doubt will crush dreams far more often than failure ever will. And a common theme that you will see with every single successful person, I kid you not, every single one, they will say that they have failed time and time and time again. Failure is a part of life, but failure is learning. That's the most important thing. It's about learning. Life is 20% what happens to you, 80% how you respond to it. So if you fail and then you quit, you don't continue, that is a genuine failure. If you fail and take a step back, say, okay, this is what I did. This is what I was trying to achieve. This is what happened. How can I figure out a way to go back to the drawing board and succeed the next time? You have now learned, you've gone through the path, you have learned, and you can progress in whatever it is that you're doing. So really, failure is not failure. It's just a lesson. One of the things that my mom always told me as a kid, and I, like most kids, didn't have an appreciation for what she was trying to tell me at the time. It took me getting older and getting through some life to figure this out and have that aha moment. But whenever you lose, don't lose the lesson. That was what she told me all the time. Whenever you lose, don't lose the lesson. The lesson is where you make the gains. If you're in the gym, okay, you're trying to set PRs. You set a goal for yourself. I'm going to do deadlifts today. Okay. My PR for that at that time, let's say it's 215. If you don't try to push yourself beyond that, how do you know what your potential is? You don't. You could do 215 and say, you know what, I had some left in the tank. Really? Show me. Do it. Try it. You have no idea unless you try it, unless you do it. Do 225. Oh, wow. I did it. Okay, now you have a new PR. Now you know. Now you can push yourself for the other sets that you're doing, working up on your next training session. You might be able to set a new PR. Hell, if you set a new PR in a training session and you feel that you still have something left in the tank, do it again. 235. Holy crap, I did 235. I just set a 20-pound PR. If you have more left in the tank, why not? As long as you can maintain form and keep yourself healthy, don't injure yourself, push yourself. Push yourself. I have dumped weight. I remember last August, late July, last weekend of July, first day of August 1st. I was at Lane Norton's VIP camp here in Tampa. And I had done heavy weight before. All right. But this is a powerlifting type camp. I mean, there are people from around the world who have paid really good money for a long time to learn from one of the best in the world, literally, world record holder. And so at that time, my PR, and I've never gotten back to these weights, but my personal record for both deadlift and squat was 495. So once you set a PR, there are certain times where you can say, okay, well, that was pretty good. But I'm not going to try to get back to that weight. You're going to focus on other parts of your training. So I did that. So I had not lifted that weight in a long time. But at that camp, I tried to squat 455. And it was one of those experiences where you have a lot of people, you put that much weight on a bar, and as a guy who's 5'6", that's a decent amount of weight. And so I had a lot of eyes on me for that. And I had been paying attention the entire time. We had learned new things that we could do to tweak our technique to make it more efficient, to get more power out of what we were doing. And I put 455 on the bar. I took it off the rack, took my 3 steps backwards, and got down in the hole, tried to come up, and I ended up dumping it. It fell off my back. It hit the safety bars, and Lane was standing right there watching me. One of the guys that I had followed him for years up to that point. I had, there was a high pressure situation for me, and I dumped the weight. And so one could expect that there's a little bit of embarrassment that goes along with that. And it was kind of embarrassing because nobody else was dropping their weight. And I had done weight like that before. So he came up to me and he told me what I did wrong. He said, you did this right. This is how things started to go bad. And this is why you had to dump the weight. So he gave me the critique. I didn't take it as, why the hell were you trying to do 455? No, nobody said anything like that. Everybody was super supportive. Again, very experienced, high-level lifters that were very, very supportive. There's a lot of us in this community that are like that. Again, providing feedback, providing critique, and so everybody else that was in my group continued to train. They were doing their weight, and then my turn comes back up. I put 455 back on the bar, and I did it. I went down, came back up. It was a struggle, but I did it. I went back to the drawing board. I took my critiques. I fixed my form, and I was able to do that weight. A lot of people, after dropping a weight like that, would not try to attempt that weight again, especially at least in the same training session, and certainly not in the next set because of potential risk of hurting yourself. But again, I was being very cognizant of how my body felt, and I felt like I could do it. I had that confidence in myself to be able to do that. And there's no reason why anybody out there should not feel that same way. There is no reason. You need to ask questions, figure out where you are, try to push yourself forward. And when you do that, especially if you have a good group of people around you, that makes it a lot easier. But you can't grow your group if you are not taking that first step in the gym. They're the ones that are going to help you with your form. They're the ones that are going to start lifting with you. They're the ones that will start to look to you for inspiration and motivation. One of the most humbling experiences, and this is going from 2009 when I first started lifting with no aspirations for bodybuilding or competition or anything along those lines. Going from 2009 in the military, get out, I start to do shows. I do my first show, and I'm happy with how I did. I took third in my first show. Wasn't expecting to place at all. And I kicked ass. And I was very happy about that. So posted up pictures on social media, and I said, hey, I got third, and I think I want to do another show. And everybody came out of the woodwork. I had so many personal messages, comments, likes, the whole shebang on all my stuff on social media. And people started to tell me, people that I had lifted with in the military when I was in California, I had now people telling me that I was inspiring them. I was motivating them. Something that I was not even expecting. That's not why I do this. That's not why I started this. And because it was just about trying to improve myself. I cared about myself enough to do something about where I was in my life. And so I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And because of that, I ended up motivating and inspiring people. At that point in time, it's like, wow, well, if I can help people in any way, shape, or form, why not keep doing this? I mean, I still, the competition side of things, I'm the only one who has to stand up on that stage. There's no reason why somebody should sign up for a competition if they don't feel like they are doing it for themselves. They have to be able to be okay with putting themselves through all the work and the stress and the investment, physical, emotional, mental, financial, if you're not comfortable with doing it for yourself. That said, the motivating part of it, the inspiring part of it, that's one of those things that helps keep me motivated to continue to post these videos or Instagram or all this stuff to try to help educate and to answer questions or to engage with people to try to help them get to where they want and need to be. So it's one of those things that has come full circle, and who knows, maybe you would be able to do that. Maybe you have a network of people that's around you that would say, you know what? they started going to the gym. They've put in a lot of time and effort. They've made some really, really good progress. What if I could do that? Now you have turned into somebody who is an inspiring force in somebody's life. Now you're a motivator. That's what happened with me. And we are all in this together. This is the same thing that happens time and time again for people. And I really hope that I have answered some questions regarding how to get the most out of your life, how to help you reach your potential, how to discover your potential. You don't know what your limits are until you push them. And then you learn more about yourself when you try to figure out, hey, what will I do to push those limits? You don't know what your limits are until you've gotten to them. And then you don't know what you would do to push yourself until you've been put in that situation. So it's all about pushing your limits. It's all about trying to figure out what is going to work best for you, but you also have to want it badly enough for yourself. You can try to do things for other people as much as you want, but if you're not invested in yourself enough, then you tend to find that you do things for the wrong reasons. And if you do things for the wrong reasons, then chances are it's going to be hard to maintain that for a long period of time. And this is something that is about trying to help people improve their lifestyle. Going to the gym should be part of somebody's lifestyle with the overall goal of maintaining or improving their health. A lot of people will try to end up doing things just for the sake of checking off a box. Well, maybe if you're trying to do a competition, that's one thing. There's plenty of people that will they'll go be a physique competitor or they'll be a bikini competitor. I tend to pick those out because those are more attainable divisions to compete in. Somebody may go full-fledged bodybuilding or women's physique, something like that. Perfectly fine. They do one show, and now that they've checked that box off their bucket list, then they're good and that's it. Perfectly fine. But what I'm talking about here is trying to make some significant changes in your life to be able to live a better quality life. It's about fitness. It's about health. It's about being able to maintain it over the long term to improve your life as a whole, make you a more well-rounded individual. So asking questions is a huge part of that. You don't know what you don't know. Ask questions. Engage people. Talk to them. Find out more. Again, you may find out more about yourself in the long run than you ever thought possible. And you may have a much higher level of potential in you that you otherwise would never be able to achieve. So I do hope that this was enlightening, and I do encourage people to continue to reach out to me. I want to help as many people as possible. If I can only help one person improve their life, then I feel that I've done my job. But I do want to help as many people as possible. I want to be able to spread as much education and knowledge as I can. It's something that has been a great experience for me. I've met a lot of amazing people, and I've had a lot of amazing experiences just because in late 2009, I decided to live a more positive life, and I made that conscious decision to always try to improve myself and improve my outlook, and it has turned into a passion. So with that said, I do want to throw up some shout outs to a couple different organizations and people. First off, I have to thank Shane Gilbertson. He's the one that got me into bodybuilding in the first place. He was the first person who helped me really get educated on this sort of lifestyle. So thank you, Shane, Little Giant. Lane Norton, again, bringing him up. He's been incredible when it comes to putting out free information. Again, finding out how to do proper form, or should you do this, shouldn't you do that. The nutrition side of things, any and all information that I've talked about at some point in time, I have gotten information from Lane Norton. His website's biolane.com. I always encourage people to check out his website. Puts out a lot of great information, and for a lot of information for free. So I also want to thank Will Grazione. He's my coach. Metabolic Evolution is his team. He is also within the Lane Norton group of people. That's how I met Will. We do have a lot of mutual friends, but I did meet Will at last year's VIP camp, and he's been my coach ever since. I've had nothing but great experience with him, working with him for my last 2 shows I did last November. The best shape that I've been in for any of my shows. I was the heaviest. I was able to eat the most food, and I was in the best condition for the shows I did. So thank you to Will. Make sure you check him out if you can. Again, his team is Metabolic Evolution. Support Military Muscle, militarymuscleinc.com. Military Muscle has been a great organization. I was recently named one of their brand ambassadors. They do a lot for the veteran community, and it's not just an apparel company. It's fitness apparel, it's fitness accessories, but it's also about utilizing fitness for the betterment of especially the veteran community, making sure that as much outreach is done regarding veteran suicide awareness and PTSD and what depression can do to people. So thank you very much to Eric Hilton, Rob Principato, Elijah Main, all the people that are at the top of the company for doing what they do, and as well as allowing me the opportunity to be an ambassador for them. I'm always, literally everywhere I go, I'm always wearing Military Muscle. Have the hustle for the muscle hat on. Got my Military Muscle stringer on today. Great equipment, great apparel, but most importantly, a great community of people who really truly care about veterans and making sure that the veteran community is taken care of. So thank you to them. Also, a shout out to Fit Life Foods, eatfitlifefoods.com. I work at Fit Life Foods. I've had nothing but an amazing experience working with them. Not only for them, I've worked with them since the beginning of this year, but even before then, they make some amazing food that's really, really healthy, that's always fresh, never frozen. My first experience with them was actually getting ready for my last couple shows, and there was a point where I was eating solely Fit Life Foods, and everything is ready to go. It's already cooked. You don't have to worry about grabbing ingredients, driving around, trying to figure out what you're going to eat that night. You come in, we have the entire wall in our location is coolers, great variety of foods. Again, already cooked. Already cooked. You select what you want, take it and go. Plenty of options for you. So take a look, eatfitlifefoods.com. Fit Life Foods here in the Tampa Bay area. They are only in Florida right now, but they are expanding. So make sure you check out all of the locations, see which one is closest to you. And then social media. Do me a favor, TAW Fit Physique. That is my brand on all social media platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Obviously, social media is king when it comes to the fitness industry, and so I do want to make sure I throw those out. Any and all support is greatly appreciated from everybody. So, and again, through those platforms, I'm going to continue to try to educate as much as possible, answer questions, provide some good content for everybody. It's been a whirlwind in the last couple years, but again, this is my lifestyle, so I do plan on maintaining that exposure for all of the education and motivation and inspiration that I try to provide for everybody. So if you could please help me do that, help me affect as many people as possible now in a positive way by engaging with me on those social media platforms, sharing my pages as well, spread the word. So with that said, I think that's going to end this this particular video. Please leave any questions or feedback on my YouTube on the video. If you know of anybody who may find some sort of benefit in this, please feel free to share it as much as possible to as many people as you feel will get something out of this. So again, reach out, ask questions. Don't be intimidated. Everybody was in the same boat at one point in time, so they have an appreciation for where you're starting. So ask them questions, ask me questions whenever you need or want to. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Have a great rest of your weekend on this beautiful Saturday here in Florida. I know I plan to. So take care, everyone, and we'll do one of these in the near future. Talk to you later.